as governments are torn between austerity and growth. Earlier, I spoke to Guy Ryder, the Director-General of the ILO, the International Labour Organization, the UN body that promotes workforce. I put it to him that these figures that we're looking at now, these figures show something isn't working.
They're very bad, they're extremely worrying, they're disturbing, but there's no great surprise in them. And that's really the lesson we have to draw from these figures, I think, that if we simply carry on doing more or less what we've been doing for the last months, the last years, we can expect more of these figures. You know, they're no worse on the previous occasion, but they're not getting better, and our projections are that probably we can expect worse to come without that change of direction.
And we look, if we take the youth unemployment numbers, 55, 56, 58% for some of the most indebted countries that are in European programmes at the moment. That piles on the misery.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, isn't it? When you think that if you're a young Spaniard or a young Greek person, you're much more likely to be out of a job than in a job. And these are situations which I think countries cannot cope with for very long. And if there's any one thing that calls our attention to action and for change, it's got to be these figures. They're absolutely catastrophic.
So what do you want done? Because the Commission and the IMF, certainly the IMF is very clear now that it wants to see more growth policies. The Commission keeps saying more growth policies, but give me some concrete action you want to see.
I think there are two things in broad terms that just simply have to be done. The one is getting the banking sector straight. We've got to move on to this banking union in its fully fledged form so that confidence is there in the economy, that we're not going to suffer a further meltdown, so people can start lending to each other, people can start acting as normal in the real economy. Because in the end, that's what's going to get growth going, that's what's going to get people back to work. And at the same time, I think, and I've been saying this for some time, we really do have to rethink this balance between austerity and so-called fiscal consolidation and the need for growth. Put those two things together, and I think you're moving in the right direction.
Well, they would say they're doing exactly that, Mr. Ryder. They would say that, yes, they are sorting out the banking system, witness what they've done in Cyprus, and yes, there is now a realisation that there needs to be more growth than austerity. So the people you criticise would turn around to you and say, doing it.
No, I'm sorry. I don't think that they've got the austerity balance right. I think there is still, a very, very, no doubt, well-intentioned concentration on getting deficits and debt down now. And jobs seem that they can wait till later. It doesn't work like that. So I think you're right. I think we're moving in the right direction in terms of realisation. I'm not sure that the actions have followed yet.
What's your fundamental fear, besides the pretty awful thought that there's a generation that will never have, that may never work?
The real question is, what are we going to do to prevent this waste of millions of lives and the human misery, the quiet desperation, the 19 million people that lie behind these figures, whose lives are a mess? And I think we need to show some common resolve to getting back into the mainstream of life and giving them a bit of a future. That's the real inspiration that these figures give to me, and I hope it does to other people and to political decision makers too.
As the head of the ILO on the numbers, the unemployment numbers in Britain.